Hey there, brilliant people. So today I've got a very special guest that I'm thrilled to introduce you to. She's someone that I got to work with, which in a really wonderful way, because she's the creator of the Unity Consciousness event, which is an online event that we had a few months ago. I believe she's going to be having it next year as well. She's an awakened soul embodiment guide, and she's a healer as well. And anyway, so I'm thrilled to be able to introduce to you Kristen Bielecki. So welcome, Kristen.
Thank you, Catherine. It's a pleasure to be here with you and to co-create with you again.
Tell us about how intuition actually helps you with your work, either in creating things like the online event, which was wonderful, or in your own life. Or how does intuition help you create your life?
It's become such a natural thing to listen and follow the inner guidance that it's powerful for me to think about what it was like when I was still in that phase of learning to trust the intuition. And I've had some really powerful experiences with having these, intuitive hits that I still would kind of just look at and be like, should I listen to that? And then it was just over a, a period of time of having this voice come in that was, really inside of me. And it was really a strong voice. And finally, when I just decided I'm just going to listen to it, I'm just going to listen to it and do what it says and do what I'm feeling from that I really figured out that, okay, wow, this is it was like myself talking to myself. I'm guiding myself there. This is it. This is so incredibly, it's amazing at the same time, when we first start to listen and actually watch how things take shape. Like for me, I would receive messages about what might happen, what was going to happen in the future. And I was also receiving messages about, how to, shift my life. Because if I was having a challenging time with my emotions or with somebody else, I would just hear things, and I just take it into consideration and say, well, what if I tried that? What would happen if I tried that? And that's really how it just became a real strong part of my life. And that's part of what I do with people too, is like, okay, well, let's figure out which voice is which, like you said, like, is this my fear or ego, or, something I heard and feel like it's mine, or that's the internal compass voice talking to us, our inner wisdom, and create that as the foundation of our life. I use it every day. I'll use it for everything, even the food I eat, everything. It's just like I can really feel and touch into that and say, okay, well, is this going to be, a good schedule for today? Is this going to align? And then I'll just feel things like, oh, this person's going to cancel or reschedule, and I'm going to do this instead, So it's just, I just listen and I flow and I feel and I let it guide me now.
I think one of the things that people, why they're drawn to intuition, but at the same time they sometimes find the thought of developing their own intuition a little daunting, is because they look at moments like, well, knowing when someone's perhaps about to pass, me buying this house, you putting on the Unity Consciousness event, these are sort of things that for a lot of people are quite big, and they're not, and they're big either emotionally or they're big financially, or, they feel big in the sense that they feel like some kind of risk for people. When you've practiced your intuition every day, it doesn't feel big. It just feels like the natural next step. But in order to get to that point where when you trust your intuition, that well, that you're comfortable taking those big steps, you do need to practice it every day.
Absolutely.
So, I do you have any little tips or tricks that you could suggest for people, for them to be able to practice every day, or something that maybe got you started?
I had a spiritual mentor at one point for some years in my 20s, my later 20s, when I was, feeling like I was having a difficult time. I was taught this alignment tool. I was taught this alignment tool of, coming up with, sitting in meditation and coming up with a color or an image or something that was representative of an alignment tool. And for me, it just was like a white light.
Okay.
And so what I started to do was to sit and just get still and take a decision. If it was, am I going to go visit a friend, or am I going to go, or am I going to stay home? Right. Yeah. And I would just put both of them up and shine the white light on it and see which one expanded and which one contracted or dissolved or whatever. And the one that expanded was the one that was right for me in the moment. So I just started to practice that. I started to use that even for foods for my body. I started to use it for, it was like I started to use it for everything. Like, am I going to go here today? Should I, do this today? Whatever it was, it just became like this fun little practice because I really wanted to be in alignment with the truth of my life. I just didn't want to like be out willy-nilly. I was really dedicated to myself and my soul. And I was like, okay, what would it, and then just the curiosity of what would it be like to live a life that I was just in pure alignment. And what started to happen after using the tool was I was really tuning in. And now it just becomes, there are some times when I do still use the tool when my mind wants to get in the way, and I just say, okay, time out, I'm just going to use the tool. But most of the time I just it's just a part of the rhythm of my nature now from practicing that so much.
By giving yourself a framework like that, you gave yourself a consistent practice, which helped you develop your intuition and develop that trust that is so important, particularly if you want to have those bigger intuitions. You need to have that trust, so that, because otherwise, even if you get the intuition, you're going to be arguing with your doubts about it rather than trusting it. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go, Kristen? Any last sort of thoughts?
Feeling how you're a listener, and how well you're really you're listening and hearing, and just find yourself, in that subtle practice of just being, still and listening to yourself and letting yourself be, your guide, and trusting yourself. That's the key, and loving yourself and giving yourself the space to do that. So thank you.
Always good advice. All right, so I'm going to put the link to Kristen's website below. So if you want to learn more about the Unity Conscious events and some of the things that they're doing, or that Kristen's doing, you can find that below. And so once again, thank you, Kristen. And until next time, everyone, always be brilliant.